Hello everyone, I'm Freaky and welcome to the video. My friends, when it comes to the Monsterverse, it looks like it has a promising future. We've got the new Kong animated series, we've got Kong vs Godzilla 2, and there's also the Gamera series, and many more giant monster movies that are coming out. And you know what, I'm praying, I really am praying that Gamera will be in the Monsterverse one day. And by the time this video came out, Godzilla vs Kong 2, The New Empire, has already came out, and I'm not sure what they're going to do for the Monsterverse movie. But you know what, I really do hope that it's going to be Gamera, and I really do mean that. I really wish that we would get Gamera in the Monsterverse alongside Godzilla and Kong. Gamera deserves to be on the front lines with Kong and Godzilla. But the thing is, where would Gamera come from? How would he be introduced into the Monsterverse? Well, in the original series of the Gamera series, Gamera was actually created by the Atlanteans. So maybe Gamera could come from the sea? And yeah, I'm getting off track. And when it came to the new Titan in the New Empire, it's assumed that he came from the Hollow Earth. I don't know, I haven't seen the movie yet. I made this video before I watched the movie. And also, not to mention, we've also seen Titans on top of the world, like the Mutos, Mothra, Rodan, and those are the three main places where we see the Titans: the Hollow Earth, the sea, and above ground, laying dormant until King Ghidorah called all the Titans. And those are mostly the places that we've seen most of the Titans come from. But that's also kind of the problem. Dormant on ground, in the sea somewhere, and the Hollow Earth. What I'm trying to say is, I want other monsters to come from different places than just above ground and the sea and the Hollow Earth. I want other monsters to come from somewhere special. I want other monsters to have their own unique backstory, like where they came from and how they came to be. I mean, yeah, King Ghidorah did come from space, so I guess we can put that as a fourth. What I'm trying to say is, it would get pretty boring to have Titans or monsters come from the same place over and over again, like above ground, the sea, or the Hollow Earth, and space. Which is why I made this video. I'm going to be giving you guys my top 10 suggestions as where future Titans or future monsters can come from for the Monsterverse. And some of these suggestions can be a little bit silly, and some of them are like, yes, I want to see this in the Monsterverse. And if you guys have a suggestion as to where these monsters can come from, please let me know in the comments below. And so that said, let's resume with the list. The afterlife. Yep, you guys heard me right, the afterlife. You know, where angels and devils and heaven and hell, that sort of thing. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, oh come on, that sounds silly. A monster that comes from the afterlife just sounds really silly. And you know what, I'm not gonna lie, when I was thinking of this idea of where these monsters can come from, one of my ideas was the afterlife. But you know what, even I thought that was silly. But at the same time, I thought it was a cool idea, simply because of one reason. And that reason was, there is actually a comic book or a series where Godzilla actually goes to hell. And listen, I'm not suggesting that, oh, Godzilla should die and then he goes to hell. I'm just saying, something from hell could actually come to Earth and start wreaking havoc on everything. And I'm talking about giant monsters, not small demons, not devils, not evil souls, but I'm talking about giant evil monsters that has been in hell since maybe the beginning of the universe, or maybe it's a creation of the devil or something. And yeah, I know, I'm thinking too hard about this. But you know what, ever since that comic book where Godzilla went to hell, I like the idea that Godzilla was wreaking havoc in hell. Instead of hell coming to Godzilla, Godzilla brought hell to hell. I mean, how freaking cool would that be, that a giant demon or giant monster demon thing was facing off against Godzilla? Again, I know this is a silly idea, because mostly when it comes to the Monsterverse, they're only concentrating on scientific ways of doing the Monsterverse instead of mythology ones. But like I said, it was only an idea, and I know it's silly, and that's the reason why it's at the bottom of this list. And that's idea number 10, Titans or monsters that comes from the afterlife. But guys, trust me, this will be the only silly idea on this list, I promise. Everything else won't be biblical. So yeah, that's idea number 10. Let's move on to idea number 9. And number 9 is the Hollow Earth. Yeah, I know. This one is going to be an obvious one, because when it comes to the Hollow Earth, it's quite possibly the most obvious of obvious locations of where the next Titan is going to come from. And the Hollow Earth isn't small either. The Hollow Earth is freaking huge, and it's got these little vein things that goes from the Hollow Earth to the top of the Earth. So who's to say there isn't any Titans within those veins that leads up or leads down to the Hollow Earth or the surface of the world? And when it comes to the Hollow Earth, it isn't small either, because for all we know, there might be other Kongs down there, or another species of Kong. Okay, just to let you guys know, I haven't seen the movie of Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire yet, at this point of when I was making this video, but I have seen the trailer, and it is assumed that this new orangutan Kong that I saw in the trailers for the new movie, The New Empire, it's assumed that that new orangutan Kong is going to be in the Hollow Earth. But if it isn't, then I do apologise, I'm just assuming. But it wouldn't just be that orangutan Kong. There could be loads of different types of monsters down there. There was those bat things, there were those flying snake things, and other creatures down there. I mean, heck, for all we know, there could be something under the Hollow Earth, like dormant titans or something. Remember, Kong and the other humans haven't fully explored the Hollow Earth yet, and it was only a small part of the Hollow Earth that they was discovering. There could be other titans that was roaming around there. There could be titans that are dormant underground in the Hollow Earth, or there could be titans that is in between the Hollow Earth and the surface. You know, like those entrances that Kong went through. So there are loads of possibilities of titans coming from the Hollow Earth, still roaming around, or they're in hibernation, or they're in one of the veins, or they're underground of the Hollow Earth. There are so many possibilities of where they could come from the Hollow Earth, and fingers crossed that we'll get to see more Kongs. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is the sea. Now, this is an obvious one when it comes to where the next monster can come from. In fact, did you guys know that we know more about the surface of our moon, or was it Mars, or whatever? Did you know that we know more about those planets, of their surface, than we do of what we know of what's in the sea? Because hey, Godzilla came from the sea, I believe Gamera also came from the sea, and there's been quite a few other titans that also came from the sea. There was that one aquatic kaiju in one of the old Godzilla films. There was that big massive lobster thing, and there was also that giant squid thing that Kong ate. The thing is, it wouldn't just be giant titans like Gamera or Godzilla or that aquatic kaiju that was in one of the Godzilla films, but there could be loads and loads of other things down there. Sure, you can have titans that could come on land and go back into the sea, but what about titans that are waterbound? They could have something like the Bloop or El Gran Maja. Like, that thing is freaking huge. If you don't know what El Gran Maja is, then look him up. And the Bloop too. In fact, the planet Earth is mostly covered in water, and we know what the land titans look like, but who's to say that there are sea monsters within the sea? Maybe something like, again, the Bloop or El Gran Maja or the World Serpent, or maybe there are dormant titans underneath the seabed, or maybe in the deepest, darkest part of the sea is where the most biggest water titan there is. Because you know what, I think that's what they need to do. They need to bring in more water type titans, because I think that's what's missing. Water titans. Titans that are bound to the sea. Maybe something like the Kraken, or maybe water dragons. So yeah, that's what they should do. They should bring in more water titans. Some can come on the land and some are waterbound, and there are plenty of myths and legends where they have water monsters. And the sea is vast, deep, and very, very big. So yeah, that is an exciting idea. Have more titans come from the sea. And with that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is underground. Now, I'm not talking about the Hollow Earth or those entrances to the Hollow Earth. And I'm not talking about titans or dormant within the ground, like the ones we saw in Godzilla King of the Monsters, where King Ghidorah makes his call to the other titans. But I'm talking about deep underground, but not too far, where it reaches the Hollow Earth. Because when it comes to underground, that too in itself is also another good idea. And listen, I'm not talking about mole titans or something like that, but I'm talking about titans who are either trapped or hibernating deep underground. And it could be anything like dragons or giant serpents. I mean, heck, there was even a movie where Godzilla came from the ground. Again, they could be trapped underground, or they were just so far down that they couldn't hear King Ghidorah's call, or they could be hibernating. Heck, there's even this one movie called The Reign of Fire, where these people find this dragon, and it was deep underground. So not only is the Hollow Earth vast, not only is the sea vast, but the underground is also vast too. There could be loads of other titans down there that didn't come out of hibernation. There could be titans that are trapped down underground, or there could be other titans that just ignored King Ghidorah's call. It is a possibility that could happen, and they could be found by other humans, or maybe a giant earthquake sets them free, or maybe it was their time to be woken up. There could be plenty of reasons as to why they came up from the ground. So yeah, it is a possibility that there are other titans deep underground. So yeah, there's that idea. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one is titans that have been sealed away. Now listen, I'm not talking about titans that have been sealed away like what Kong was, where he was contained. And I'm not talking about titans that are trapped underground somewhere, but I'm talking about titans who was sealed away long ago by other humans, or maybe aliens, or maybe other titans, because maybe they were too powerful, or maybe they were too vicious. there could be loads of reasons as to why there was Titans that was sealed away by other creatures or other people or aliens or whatever. Something like King Caesar. Like, King Caesar was the guardian of the certain family, and the only way you can call upon him is that if you have this statue and you start singing to him, and that's how you release King Caesar. And if you don't need King Caesar anymore, it would let it go and be sealed away again. It could be, that's sort of sealing away. And there are loads of different types of sealings away, like in that episode of Doctor Who, where the Doctor actually meets Satan, and it was Satan who was sealed away. They had him all chained down, so he wouldn't escape. It could be something like that. Like, it could be somewhere near the core of the whole Earth. It could be sealed away in a mountain somewhere, or sealed away deep underground. And there could be loads of reasons as to why they're sealed away, either because they were too aggressive, or they were just too evil, and there was no way at the time they could destroy that thing. So the next best option was to seal it away. Or they could be like King Caesar, where he voluntarily seals himself away until he's called for again. Or maybe it could be a machine type, like the Power Rangers Zords, and the people who made these giant machines sealed them away so nobody else can use them. There could be different types of kaijus or titans or machines that was sealed away for all different types of reasons. Either they were too powerful, or they were too aggressive, or they were stored away, or they voluntarily sealed themselves away. And they could have been sealed away by anybody, either ancient humans or aliens or other titans, and they could be sealed away anyways. The hollow earth, under the sea, a mountain, anyways really. So yeah, sealed away by a second party for reasons. So yeah, there's that one. Let's move on to next one. And the next one is created by humanity. Now, when it comes to this one, it's going to be obvious. I mean, we've obviously had Mechagodzilla in the original movie series and recently in the Godzilla vs. Kong film. But technically, Mechagodzilla was a machine, non-organic. Well, it kind of depends on how you look at it, really. I mean, Mechagodzilla kind of had the consciousness of King Ghidorah, and Kira had the soul or the bone memory of the previous Godzilla. Literally, the bones of the original Godzilla is in a Mechagodzilla. But no, I'm not talking about machines. I'm talking about something organic. I'm talking about creatures that was created in a lab. Something like Jurassic Park, where the scientists creates dinosaurs with the extracted DNA they got from mosquitoes. So now, all these scientists have lots of DNA from different sorts of dinosaurs. Or from the Godzilla films, Biollante, which was the combination of a human, a plant, and the DNA of Godzilla. If you think about it, I can totally see humanity doing something like that. Like creating different sorts of titans, trying to control them and telling them to destroy certain titans, or just creating titans because they can. Like, imagine if they got the DNA of Godzilla and Kong, and they fused the DNA into one, and they made a completely different kaiju, like Kongzilla. Or maybe they got the DNA of King Ghidorah, and they tried to recreate him. Or maybe they could get all the DNA from all the titans and create an apex titan, like the strength of Kong, the durability of Godzilla. It can take flight like Rodan, and so on and so on. Like, there are loads of combinations they could do with the titan's DNA. Or they could create something original, like taking modern day animals' DNA, like a tiger, the jaws of a shark. It could be something like a griffin. They could do all sorts of things when it comes to creating their own titans, either to beat the titans or beat Godzilla, or made to be a protector of humanity. Yeah, there is definitely a good idea here. And so with that said, let's move on to next one. And the next one is monsters or other titans coming from other titans. Now, some of you are probably wondering, why the heck is Carnage and Venom on the screen? Well, it was the closest thing I could think of to explain on what I wanted to say, but just hear me out for a sec. To those of you who don't know, Carnage was actually spawned from Venom, and that's kind of sort of what I mean. Like, do you guys remember the 1998 Godzilla, where he or she laid loads and loads of eggs, and most of them died except for one, and that one was called Godzilla Jr.? Or what about the Cloverfield monster from Cloverfield? You know, that giant monster that was destroying New York City? That thing had loads of little monsters on him, and those little monsters was attacking humans and poisoning them. Or there was one of those angels from Evangelion that split into two angels. Or there's Destroyer! That was the combination of smaller monsters. I mean, yeah, technically those little monsters are Destroyer, but hey, it's just an example. What I'm trying to say is, the next monster could come from other titans, either newborns, or a piece of that titan is alive and it's growing, or little monsters that's on it starts to go into a new titan, or maybe a piece of a previous titan could mutate into something else. either born or cloned or mutated or lived on that Titan, or a smaller animal could have eaten a part of that Titan and that creature could have grown into something much more bigger, into a new Titan. Basically a new Titan that comes from an already existing Titan, either from birth or some sort of mutation, or it comes from another Titan. So yeah, basically that. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is a complete accident. Now, when it comes to being made by humans and being made by other Titans, they were intentionally made, you know, created, or some lucky monster became the next kaiju, or he was born. But when it comes to this segment, the creation of the Titan was made by complete accident. Like, it was never ever meant to exist. And he was made by complete accident. Like, for example, Destroyer! Destroyer was made thanks to the Oxygen Destroyer. And over the years, these little creatures that was near the Oxygen Destroyer mutated them, and slowly but surely they became Destroyer. Or there's Hydra, the sludge monster. He was created from the combination of an alien and pollution. Like, I'm not really sure if it was an accident or this alien purposely put himself into this pollution to make him go bigger, but let's just say, for example, that it was an accident. It would be something like that. And you know what? I really do like this idea that a Titan was created by complete accident. You know, something like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where they find the ooze and they turn into human turtle hybrids, and it was complete accident that they came across the ooze. And yeah, it's probably the oldest and stereotypical way that a monster would come into being, by complete accident. Like, maybe a bat got into some radiation and it became super massive. Or remember the Sandman from Spider-Man? He was made by complete accident. I've always liked this trope, accidentally made monsters. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is a monster that comes from another time. Now, this one is a little bit silly, but hey, look at it this way. What if somebody created a time machine that could go back into the past or go into the far future? Or maybe a monster from the far past or the far future made its way to present day and started fighting Godzilla and the other Titans. Now listen, when it comes to time travel, it can be very difficult to do, considering paradoxes and the total destruction of time. And sometimes when it comes to time, you need an action to get a reaction. Like, remember Goku Black and that old time stick? Yeah, I'm not getting into that. But if you guys have seen the series, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyways, despite time travel being very tricky, and again can be very silly, there is some really good potential here. Like, what if a monster from the far past came to the present and started beating Godzilla? Or what if there was multiple monsters from the far future, like maybe Kong's offspring, or some other monsters from the far future came to the present, like a regenerative monster, something like Majin Buu, or maybe a robot with super advanced technology that was even much more powerful than Mecha Godzilla. Or maybe the Titans from the present can go into the future or the past. There are some exciting ideas when it comes to time travel, but at the same time, I think it would be a little bit of an headache, considering the time paradoxes. But hey, it's interesting too. Okay, so that's the idea. Let's move on to the next one. And the second to last one is monsters coming from space. Now this one is an obvious one, because remember, King Ghidorah also came from space. So who's to say that there isn't any more of King Ghidorah's kind out there? In fact, in one of the Mothra movies, I think one of King Ghidorah's species was in the Mothra series. So that in itself is a good idea. Or what about Space Godzilla? Like, a piece of Godzilla went into space and it mutated somehow, and that mutated piece of Godzilla grew into Space Godzilla? I mean, come on, you guys can't tell me that you don't want to see Space Godzilla. Or what about Gigan? He was the slave of aliens that wanted to destroy the world, and he kept on getting upgraded every single time he lost. Or do you guys remember in the animated 1990s animated series of Godzilla? In the series, there were aliens trying to take over the world, and they were using monsters, including Godzilla, to take over the world. Heck, there was even aliens in the Gamera series. I think there was a few more in the Godzilla series, and I think there was a few in Final War or something. What I'm trying to say is, what if there was aliens that was taking control of monsters on Earth, or they brought their own Titans with them, so they can take those Titans down that's on Earth? I like the idea that aliens wants to take over the world, or kill the Titans, or use the Titans to destroy the world. or other Titans are coming to Earth. This is possibly my second favourite idea when it comes to the Monsterverse, when it comes to monsters coming into the series. And of course, I am talking about outer space. I mean, come on, that in itself is cool. And I've always liked the idea that aliens want to take over the world. But a few things is stopping them from doing that, and that is the kaiju that's on Earth. Or maybe the Titans can work alongside the humans to stop alien forces or other Titans that comes from outer space, and they want to destroy the Earth. And that's one of the best things when it comes to outer space. It's infinite, very vast, and there could be loads and loads of things out there. So, what could be the last thing where other Titans can come from? Well, let's find out. And the final idea is other Titans coming from other dimensions. Good God, this is a freaking awesome idea, because there are infinite possibilities of what they could do. We could have a Godzilla Kong multiverse on our hands, like all different versions of King Kong, all different versions of Godzilla. We could have an evil Godzilla, like Shin Godzilla, face off against legendary Godzilla. Or we could have a evil King Kong. Or we could have Titans from other series and movies come into the Monsterverse, like the Giant Claw, or Reptilicus, or other giant monsters that comes from different series of movies. I'm telling you guys, there are an infinite possibilities of what they can do here, because when it comes to different dimensions, there are loads of different ways they can use different dimensions. Like, what if there was a dimension where King Kong was the king of the monsters? Or what if they came across a dimension where Gamera lives? Or what if they came across a dimension where the 1990s animated Godzilla lived? Or what if they came across a dimension where Godzilla faced off against the Greek gods and monsters, like from God of War? Or what if King Kong and Godzilla was the good guys and the humans was the bad guys? And that's exactly why the old multiverse, different dimension idea is at number 1, because you can literally do anything you want. A Godzilla multiverse, a Kong multiverse, loads of different versions of Titans, an evil Godzilla, Titans from other movies and series. There is literally everything and anything you can do with this idea. And it's the most plausible idea. I mean, just give it a few more years, like 10 years or something, and they'll find a way to go into other dimensions. Going to other dimensions is possibly the final frontier of where they can get their ideas from. Sure, all these other things that I mentioned on this list of where these other Titans can come from are all good ideas, but you can't get any more final when it comes to different dimensions, because you can literally, and I mean literally, do anything and bring in any Titan or any kaiju from a different dimension to fight Kong or Godzilla. And that's exactly why I love this idea, and that's why it's at number 1. It's the end all of end alls of where the next Titans can come from. Like, let's just say for example that they went through all the world, all the earth, the sea, space, etc, etc, etc. Going to other dimensions would be the final place for new Titans to come from. And again, there are infinite possibilities of what they could do when it comes to different dimensions. They can bring in new Titans, they can bring in old Titans, they can bring in monsters from other series, or multiple versions of Godzilla, or multiple versions of Kong. There is just so much they can do with this idea. Or what about all versions of Godzilla comes into one dimension and they start fighting each other? That in itself would be freaking awesome. So yeah, you guys have gathered that I do like this idea, and I definitely think that they should do something about this. They should really use this idea of other Titans coming from other dimensions. So yeah, that's all I gotta say here. So what do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you guys like these ideas? Where do you think the next Titan should come from for the Monsterverse? Please let me know in the comment sections below, and let's get a discussion going. I'm Freaky. Peace out. And please don't forget to check out my other social medias. Please go and check out my alternative video platforms, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Twitch, and please come and hang out on my Discord server. We can play games, have a movie night or a series night, or you can watch me play a few games. And if you guys have any suggestions of any videos you want me to react to, or any video ideas in general, you can tell me on my Discord. I'm also on Twitter, Gab, Getter, and Paula. I'm on Locals, Tumblr, Minds, and if you guys want to support me, please go and check out my Subscribestar. It's like Patreon, but better. All these things are in the description box below, so please go and check them out and subscribe to them. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.